What's up, y'all, and welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast presented by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. One Eagles player has his car stolen. We'll go into detail on that, plus which offensive lineman just got paid, and we'll make our final predictions at who we think the Birds will pick in the first round of today's NFL draft. Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. Starting off with some Eagles news. Eagles center Cam Jurgens just got paid, y'all. On Monday, Jurgens and the Eagles agreed to a 4-year, $68 million extension, making him the second highest paid center in NFL history. Jurgens is guaranteed just about under $40 million, and this will lock him down through the 2029 season. Going from a reserve player during his rookie season behind arguably the greatest Eagles center in modern history, maybe of franchise history, to becoming the youngest Eagles Pro Bowler since 1953 and a Super Bowl champion? Yeah, the Eagles have solidified their offensive line with contracts going through at minimum through the 2027 season. You got Lane Johnson through 2027, Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickinson through 2028, and now you got Cam Jurgens through 2029. This is an elite move to keep one of the best offensive lines in the league at that elite level. Congrats to Cam on getting that contract, man. It is absolutely deserved. Next on our Eagles news, wide receiver A.J. Brown had his whole ass car stolen Easter Sunday out of all days, out of the NovaCare complex Sunday evening around like 3 o'clock in the morning or some ridiculous ass time like that. Now, AJ had handled the situation fairly well, even going onto social media with a proposition for the suspected car thief, stating, "Just return it, and I won't press charges." Honestly, if I'm a car thief, that's probably a pretty good proposition, in my opinion, but I wouldn't know. Now, the very next day, Philadelphia police were able to recover AJ's car all the way in Camden, New Jersey, and the suspect was taken into custody. Now, after hearing this, I'm just like, come on, Philadelphia. Is this really how we want people to think that we treat our players? This shit's ridiculous. Just last season, former Eagles safety CJ Gardner-Johnson had his fucking car stolen out of the Lincoln Financial Field parking lot. Now you got AJ Brown's car stolen out of the parking lot of the NovaCare complex. Come on, y'all. This is not how we should or want to treat our players. Yeah, they got rich, fancy cars and make a lot of money, but it doesn't give anyone the right to steal them. A.J. Brown was at the center of some jokes. It was like earlier in this season or last season, something like that, when he pulled up to the link in a stock Honda Accord. While, they're thinking, why is he driving a Honda Accord? He's making $100 million. Other people were like, that's practical as fuck, despite him making all this money. However, it was not the Honda that was stolen, but his Mercedes, which is valued around $250,000. God damn. Before I found out what car was stolen, I kind of half assumed, thought it would be a little comical if it was the Honda that was stolen, but it makes way more sense now. A Mercedes, that makes sense to steal. Okay, but a Honda Accord, you really got some problems if you're jacking a parked stock Honda Accord. Yeah, it's a hella practical car, but it ain't gonna boost your street cred at all. But anyway, I'm glad he got his car back, and in a timely manner. It was recovered just before the start of off-season workouts, which for most of, if not all teams across the league, started out on the 21st. In other Eagles news, Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts continues to be in the limelight. After recently being named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world for 2025, he now appears on the cover of the most recent issue of Men's Health magazine, and has now confirmed his marriage to longtime fiancee turned wife Brianna Burrows. Hurts confirmed this information in an interview with Men's Health, where he also stated that he really doesn't want to be the face of the NFL, despite the overwhelming popularity of his likeness, especially since being donned Super Bowl MVP. The couple married during the spring of this year, so congrats to Jalen and Bri, and here's to a lifelong and happy marriage. And just reported yesterday, the Eagles are apparently declining wide receiver Jahan Dotson's fifth-year option on a full offseason ahead of schedule. Dotson is currently under contract through the 2026 season after being acquired at the beginning of last season from the Washington Commanders, along with a fifth-round pick, trading away 3 2025 picks, which included 1 third-round and 2 seventh-round picks. Dotson has been in no way, shape, or form a liability in the receiving corps. However, he didn't have as successful as a season compared to his first 2 seasons in Washington. His only touchdown with the Birds came in the postseason in the wildcard game versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, regarding this decision, could it change over the course of a year? Possibly, but that depends on Dotson's level of production going into this upcoming season, which could be enhanced if the Eagles decide to do away with tight end Dallas Goedert. This move by the Eagles appears to mostly be for financial reasons, because by declining this fifth-year option, this would allow Jahan Dotson to explore free agency, thus freeing up nearly $17 million, which is for sure helpful if they plan to lock down somebody, let's say, Jalen Carter, to a monster deal sometime in the near future. Now, there's also been talks about Dotson being a potential trade candidate, and with Howie's history of draft day trades, it's not completely out of the question. But one thing for sure, we'll find out if Dotson or any other Eagles player could be the subject of a trade after draft weekend, which leads to this week's final topic. It is finally here, y'all. The NFL draft begins today at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's the start of the 3-day process of your next Eagles rookies joining our squad. Some crazy things can happen on draft day. Like, for example, a few years ago, we traded our 18th overall pick to the Titans for A.J. Brown. Nice move by Howie there. The Chargers and the Giants swapped quarterbacks way back when during the Eli Manning days, and tons of more crazy events. There's been tons of mock drafts where several big-name guys such as Malachi Starks, Nick Emmanwori, James Pierce Jr., Donovan Arazaku, and more have been predicted to be the Eagles' first-round pick. Now, these predictions are mostly excluding potential draft pick trades, day of trades, things like that. If anything, the Eagles need defenders, so I'm leaning on them to pick a defender in this first round. Out of all defensive positions, here are my ranks from most likely to least likely the position we'll draft with our first round pick. And that would be edge rusher, defensive tackle, safety, corner, and linebacker. And out of that list of 5, I could definitely see edge, D tackle, or safety being the most likely potential picks. If we do go with an edge rusher for our first pick, I'm predicting that we'll get Donovan Ezuraku. I originally had James Pierce Jr. in this position, but I believe that his particular draft stock went up after the combine, and that'll likely have him picked ahead of 32. Ezuraku is a little bit smaller of an edge rusher. He's kind of got that outside linebacker type of vibe, according to PFF, but is excellent at getting to the quarterback, accumulating 16.5 sacks during the 2024 college season, more than his first 3 seasons combined. I feel like this is a guy that can thrive under a Vic Fangio system. If we go defensive tackle, it's looking like, even though there's potential talks of him going very much sooner in the draft, but I'm thinking we could get defensive tackle Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. If the draft is anything like last year, we'll see a lot of offensive tackles go, allowing powerhouse on the interior D-line such as Nolan to slide closer to the end of the first round, possibly at a point where the Eagles could trade up, who knows. Plus, the Birds could look to replace Milton Williams, who left in free agency to the Patriots, and Nolan would be a fantastic quick replacement for him. Now, if we go safety, which could be likely, could be not, it really kind of depends. I think that we are going to land Malachi Starks. There's been so much fucking talk about us getting Malachi Starks. It's almost like fate at this point. Now, safety isn't a popular first round option, averaging about one safety drafted per year in the first round. When you think about all other positions, that's pretty low on the totem pole, excluding the special teams positions, obviously. Now, because of that, this allows him the possibility to slide further down in the draft, closer to the 30s, 32 draft pick. Now, Howie Roseman loves his Georgia Bulldogs, and Starks has a history with guys like Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter from playing together in college, and Starks has versatility. He can excel in a two-high safety setup, not a favorite of mine, but whatever. But he can also play up close to the ball, almost acting like a nickel corner in some instances. He's got great speed, and he's really good at diagnosing plays. He's almost like the safety version of if you took our last two drafted corners, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, put them together, and that's Malachi Starks. Now, again, this is a scenario in which we don't make any fucking trades, but Howie Roseman has made a trade within the first round in 4 out of the last 5 drafts. He could trade up using the amount of draft picks that he's accumulated. We have like 20 over the next 2 drafts. He could draft back out of the first round, which personally is not my favorite decision, in order to accumulate even more draft picks. Or he could even trade a couple picks for a veteran player. Who knows? That is the beauty of the NFL draft, y'all. We have absolutely no fucking way of predicting exactly what's going to happen. Like, somehow, some fucking how, in some crazy ass trades, we could land Abdul Carter. Now, is that likely? Absolutely fucking not. But my point being with that is that we could see some insane wizardry from Howie Roseman again this year that would help draft players who could help us get to back-to-back Lombardi trophies. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at 2nd and 15. That's 2NDAND15. Or by our full name, 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can also find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video being uploaded to YouTube later that same day. This episode, 2nd and 15, and Old City Sports Network are brought to you by Warlord Beard Oil. Use promo code OLDSPORTS at warlordbeardoil.com to get 15% off your beard oils, washes, or other products all across the website. Orders over $75 get free shipping. We're also brought to you by SeatGeek. Download the app or head to SeatGeek.com to use promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off of your first purchase. For some local sponsors, we got Robert Hangholt Construction. If you are in the greater Philadelphia region and need some work done with your roof, siding, or you're starting some new type of house project, call the #1 contractor in the area at 610-348-1066 for a free estimate on your next home project today. We're also brought to you by Decals by Aaron. For all your Delco products and merchandise, check out decalsbyaaron.com, your #1 spot for everything Delco. We are also sponsored by Iron and Steel Threads. Check out ironsteelthreads.com and use promo code OldCity10 for 10% off the entire website, and a portion of the proceeds will go to youth hockey organizations. Absolutely great cause right there. We're also brought to you by Uncle John's Barbecue Stand, located in Claymont, Delaware. Check them out for some local delicious barbecue and sauces only at Uncle John's Barbecue Stand. And finally, we have Custom Concessions. If you're in the market for repairs to your food truck or trailer, or you're just getting started in the food truck business and need reliable business, check out none other than Custom Concessions. They use high quality materials and provide high quality service. Use the sponsors tab at oldcitysports.com to check them out today. And while you're there, don't forget to click the merchandise tab to get some awesome gear such as t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite show, Second and 15. All promo codes can be found in the episode description. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast presented by Old City Sports Network. We'll see y'all next week where we'll recap and discuss the 2025 Eagles draft picks. See y'all then. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds!